And I tried with emails, and a lot of my students, they tried with emails to present a project to people, and it doesn't work. You have to call them. You take the number, you take their number, and you call them directly. That's the best way to find people. And with my expertise on the partnership, I would say that you get 1 to 2 interested people out of 10 calls. That's my stats. 10 to 20% will say yes after you present your project.
Are you about to start a podcast or producing a podcast and tired of doing the editing yourself? We have produced over 1,000 daily shows, and the production team I've created called Vox Valens Media is now available to produce shows for you as well. We can do as little or much as you need, from finding and communicating with guests, preparing introductions, to editing the audio and video. You will sound better, have a more professional presence, and be able to spend your time doing more valuable tasks in your business. Let me know if you're interested by emailing me directly at whitney@lifebridgecapital.com. This is your daily real estate syndication show. I'm your host, Whitney Sewell. Our guest today, and he has grown a great business brand and is helping so many people on the passive side, but also people becoming active. He lives in Canada. He has a great business there, but his name is Ghislain Larochelle. You're going to learn a lot from Ghislain today. His bachelor's degree in engineering and master's. Ghislain is passionate about real estate and finance. He owns a real estate portfolio that includes more than 400 rentals, 2 shopping centers, a number of other commercial parcels as well. He's a founder of a company, Immofacile. It's hard for me to pronounce it. You'll notice during the conversation, he is French. He speaks French fluently. And so, the English is second language. But man, a very knowledgeable individual. But he has a training facility that helps people achieve financial freedom through real estate. He's an investor. He's authored 10 books. He's a broker, speaker, coach. He's helped thousands of people achieve their goals over the last 20, 25 years. So you're going to learn a lot from Ghislain today. And we're going to go through something that's very important all the time, but even some new ideas around communication with investors and even gaining different input on your business plan for your deals. I love some of these thoughts that he had, and may even try to implement some myself. So I know you're going to learn a lot from Ghislain today. Ghislain, welcome to the show. Honored to have you on. I've read a little bit about you, and it sounds like you have an amazing background in real estate and helping other people in real estate. I mean, you are definitely a knowledgeable individual when it comes to commercial real estate. So you're a perfect guest, I'll say, for our show. So honored to have you on. I wonder, how many listeners have heard of you. So let's give a little intro. You tell us a little more about your background. Why commercial real estate? How did you get into commercial real estate? And let's dive into some of the complexities, or one specific complexity that, man, is so crucially important when getting into commercial real estate in just a moment. But who are you, and why commercial real estate for you?
I'm a real estate investor for the last 25 years. I wrote about 10 books presently up to now. And I love commercial. I love multi-units, residential. I love also land development. So I don't know why I love so much real estate, but I like to teach and I like real estate at the same time. So why commercial? Because I love it. I don't have a specific reason for that. And I don't like to do a lot of flips, but I like commercial.
Awesome. Well, let's dive into a specific topic and around the partnerships, right?
Yes.
And in the States, and just so the listeners know, Ghislain is Canadian or lives in Canada. And, the term syndication, which we all use in the States, is different. It's not the same legal process in Canada. In case you're a newer listener and you haven't heard us talk about that before, they're still looking for investors. They're still partnering on projects. People are still investing with Ghislain, making these deals happen in a big way, in a very similar partnership type of way, but they won't call it a syndication. It's a different legal process than we would have in the States. But anything else you would add to that, Ghislain, as far as just the legal structure in Canada versus the States before we dive in?
Often what we do, we create a corporation. We have a legal document that is attached us to the partnership. And I always say my investor partner, and I'm the syndicator, I would say. So it's quite easy to build. It's not very costly. I would say to incorporate yourself, it may be 1,500. And for the legal document, maybe 15 to 3,000 it would cost. So it's quite easy to do in Canada.
Okay. No, that's awesome. Well, let's dive into that partnership and that you're referring to between what we would say the LP and the GPs, but ultimately the operator, yourself and your investor,
Yes.
right? And let's dive in there and what that looks like. How even, let's go even back to, I don't know, even finding them, right? Maybe how you found them, even up to, maybe I want us to be able to get into some of the communication pieces that you and I referenced before we started recording as well, because I feel like it's so important. I think it's going to be even more important over the next 6 to 12 months than we've ever seen, or over the last few years anyway. And so how are you finding investors? What does that look like in your business?
In my business, there's a few ways to find a real estate investor. And the first way is around yourself. Do you have friends? Do you have families that could jump into your project? If not, you have to go to networking events. Okay. Nobody around yourself wants to invest in real estate. So you go to networking events, and what you do, you have to set yourself a goal. I want to meet 5 people in the networking event. And it doesn't have to be a real estate networking event. It could be any type of event that you could find. Well, so what I do, I say, okay, tonight I will meet at least 5 people. I will take my card, my business card, and I will give it to at least 5 people. So what you do when you meet them, you don't ask, hey, Whitney, I need $100,000. Would you like to loan it to me? I have a big project for you. That's not the way to do it. So you want to find from the people, do they have interest in real estate? If not, this is not the right guy for you. You have to find somebody else. So you go from one to the other into the event. And often what I do, I look at the people that are outside the crowd. They are sitting in one corner, very lonely. And I go and I meet with these people. And often they have very interesting ideas and they can be a good fit for my projects. And you have to take their name. And when you have a good project, what you do, you call them. Last week, I was looking for $100,000. And what I did, I look at my list. I have a big list of names and I just call them. Is it a good time for you to do an investment with me? Yes, no, maybe. What is your project? And you're talking with them. And finally, I was able to find about 4 or 5 calls later, somebody who was interested in my project. So that's how I do it. They are everywhere around yourself.
Yeah. We often feel like we have to go to a special place, right? And oftentimes they are where
Yes.
we're already going, having that conversation, right? Figuring that out, building that relationship. What about, I don't know, even as you build that relationship, any techniques to building and furthering that relationship? So when you do call for that, that $100,000 investment, you've cultivated that to some degree. It's not that they haven't heard from you for 6 months. What does that look like?
Often what I do, I will call them about every 6 months, or I will send them an email every 6 months. I don't have a project presently. Please wait. Something will come up in the next 2 months. I have a project in the next 2 months that is coming up. And sometimes they will tell me, okay, I'm not interested in real estate anymore. So I remove them from my list. And I tried with emails, and a lot of my students, they tried with emails to present a project to people, and it doesn't work. You have to call them. You take the number, you take their number, and you call them directly. That's the best way to find people. And with my expertise on the partnership, I would say that you get 1 to 2 interested people out of 10 calls. That's my stats. 10 to 20% will say yes after you present your project. So let's say like last year, I had a big syndication to do, 15 millions, and I had to do 148 calls to be able to find my 14 people with me. So people often what they do after 3, 4, 5 calls, they don't want to go further, and they say it's impossible to do syndication in real estate. That's not true. You have to keep going, and keep going. And I was able to do it, so people are able to do it.
For sure. I love the even thinking through that percentage too of 10 to 20%. Like that helps you to know, okay, it helps you to build up the expectation of hearing no many times also, right? It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. And what is happening is sometimes you have a project, let's say I'm in Quebec. So you have a project in Montreal, the person is in Toronto or is in Quebec, and he doesn't want a project in Montreal. So it's not that he doesn't want to work with you, to invest with you. It's just the project is not for him. You have a multi-unit building that is brand new. Okay, it's very easy to find people. You have an old one, it's a bit harder to find. So that's why I say 10 to 20% is a good score for me.
Yeah. So let's say you found that 10% that you need now, are those ones that have said yes, you've partnered on the project. What happens then?
What I do after, let's say I need 10 people. Okay, I need 10 people for my project. So I will incorporate a company in Inc., we call that in Quebec, and incorporation. And what I do after, I will do legal paper to make sure that we are all on the same page. We know exactly what will happen with the project. I want to buy a building and I want to keep it for a long time. Or I want to buy a building and I want to sell it in 5 years. When you will get your money back. So there's a lot of things to write in the legal document. You have to think about it before you write it down, and a lawyer will help you.
Yeah. So many things you want to ensure you're on the same page about, right? Or that they know your business plan and moving forward. I wanted to back up just a little bit though, because I didn't ask you, and I wanted to just even how you present that deal to those people you're calling. How do you handle that conversation to present that well, and that you're not desperate for the money, but hey, you are providing that opportunity, right? What does that look like?
That's a very good question. What I do first, I call Whitney and I ask him, I'm Ghislain Larochelle, and I have a really great project presently. Do you have some money available to invest in the project? That's the first question. And if they say no, I don't have to spend the next 10, 15, 20 minutes explaining the project, and I get the no at the end. So I ask directly, and they know me. We met one time in the last 7 years, so they know. The second question I ask, okay, is your money available? Yes, you have money, but is it available in the next month? No, I have to refinance my building. It will be in 2 months. Okay, we will wait for the next project. The third question I ask is, do you want to know a bit more about a multi-unit building that I want to buy, or you're only in the flip type of project? No, I want to know. Okay, and I tell them after the region, the city, and if they are interested with these 5 questions, we talk a bit more. So I will explain the project, the ROI over the phone. And if they are still interested after that, I send the package. It's a PowerPoint that I have built to explain the city, to explain why we're investing in this project, the financial part of it. I will explain also the partner, who I am, what I have done up to now, and when you will get your money. So I send them a PowerPoint, a PDF file, so they are able to know if they want to invest with me. One question that is really important, when will you get back to me? Because when you talk to maybe 15, 20% during the same day, you want to make sure that they will get back to you very soon. So next Monday, I will get back to you. Okay, sure. I'm waiting for you for the next Monday. So paperwork, it's simply a PowerPoint that I'm doing. It's about 16, 18 pages, and they have everything they need over there. And it's very important to have this paper. Last week, I was at an investment meeting with about 16 investors. And one lady asked me, she said, you told us that you would get back our money on the year 4th. I said, no, it's year 5, after 5 years. I said, I'm pretty sure you said 4 years. Okay, so let's go back. I was on Zoom, so we could go back to the presentation. And it was 5. So this is very important to write things down. Very important. So that's how I do Have the interest with the people.
Yeah, I love the presentation, and then also the legal documents share that business plan as well, right? So they know, hey, you signed,
Yes.
this partnership agreement, which is probably what it would be called there, I would think, or in our case, subscription agreement in the States, part of your private placement memorandum that's going to lay all that out. Even our investment
Yes.
summary, which sounds similar to what Ghislain is talking about, that shows the pretty pictures and our business plan and the returns, projected returns, I'll say, that even becomes part of the PPM or at our legal documents.
Yes.
So like he said, hey, if there's a question, well, I can look.
Yeah, you take the presentation you have built for them and you put it in the partnership agreement. So everything is there, but in the legal way.
And sometimes the business plan has to change, right?
Oh yeah, it will change often.
No doubt about it. Can you speak to that a little bit? Just like you had this person call and say, hey, well, this is what I thought. Then you say, well, no, this is what the business plan said. However, on the flip side of that, sometimes it does need to change, right? How does that work?
I have a project presently, and the goal of the project was to return the money in 5 years period. But presently, with the interest rate that are very high, I'm not able to return the money to the investor. So that's one thing. I can't do anything about it. It's the interest rate, and I'm not able to refinance and give them back their money. So we have two choices. We keep going. It's a very good building. It's working very well, and we keep going. Or the second choice, we vote and we decide if we sell the building. So on this project, I have about 40% of the ownership, and we decide, and if they say we sell, so we call a real estate agent and we will sell the building. So that's not my goal, but I don't have enough ownership to be able to decide for everybody. So that's one thing that could happen, and I'm having it today. That's one project I have today, is decide if I do the voting, or what I will do exactly.
Yeah, no, that's incredible, because it happens, right? I mean, that is part of this business. The plans are going to change. There's so many variables, so many things we try to plan for. And we try to plan for the unplanned, right? Or things we can't plan for, but there's still things way outside of our control. And so how is that then communicated then, say, to those investors? You mentioned y'all are going to vote and whatnot, but how do you communicate? Hey,
every month I do a meeting with 2 or 3 person that represent the investors. I don't want to do a meeting with the 18 investors every month. And we communicate with them. Here is what we have decided for the month. But when we have a specific thing like the refinancing, what we do, we have a big meeting with everybody. That was last week. So everybody was there, and we vote one by one if they want what they want to do. Or sometime when we don't have to do a meeting, I would use a Survey Monkey and just send them a Survey Monkey. What do you want to do? Here is the steps we have to take if we do option 1. Here is the step we have to take if we do option 2. Often I will say a recommendation into the survey. Not that I want one side or the other. I would say, I think we have a good project. It's full house, it's full. So I recommend we keep the project. But if you want to sell, we could sell also. So SurveyMonkey is very great for that. And when we are a challenging time, I communicate with my investors almost every week. Almost every week, I communicate with them. And when it's very easy, I have another project. It's so easy. We get money every month. We get money out of the project. So I communicate every 3 months. So between 1 week and every 3 months. But you need to have communication. I had a student who didn't communicate with his investors. And what is happening is, even if it's positive, they don't know. If it's something is negative, they don't know. So people think there's probably a problem because they don't call us, they don't say anything to us. So that's not the best way to do it. Every month, every 3 months, at least.
Great information. A couple quick questions. Love how you said, you have a couple of investors, 2 or 3 investors that you're speaking with on a monthly basis. And how did you pick them? Out of the 18 or 20 investors, how did you pick the 2 or 3 that, really you're you're like seeking some counsel or getting their input, right? Or it allow,
Yes.
just taking some outside thoughts, which is very wise, I think. How did you pick those few?
It's like the management committee, I could call us. And what we do when we build the partnership agreement, we say that 2%, 3%, 4% will be on the committee. So it's by vote. So if you want to be on the committee, you have to present yourself. You have to say why we should vote for you. And after that, all the other investors, they choose the one that they like the most, or the two that they like the most. And these two are on the committee, the management committee. And one thing why people wants to be on the management committee, they learn. They see us with a lot of expertise. When we have a problem, what do we do? And they are involved in the decision also. So that's by voting.
Awesome. What about, we talked about challenging times, even moving up to a weekly cadence. Love that. And really getting ahead of those concerns, right? Of investors that are coming in
Exactly.
with difficult times. Hey, we're going to over communicate. Love that thought process. What does that look like, or how you share even bad news? Is that through a Zoom call? Is that through a phone call individually? Is that through a webinar? How do you handle that?
Often what we do, we prepare the investors. Okay. You know that something will happen in December now, because you know that the interest rates are very high. So we prepare them with the management committee. How do you call that? The paperwork out of the management committee that you send to the investor. In French, is procès verbal. That's the overview of the meeting. And we prepare them with that. And when we come close to the date when this will happen, there's a meeting to explain to everybody that this is the challenge we have. We have 2, 3, 4 solutions. What do you think? At least they are involved in it. If they are involved, they cannot tell you, you didn't say anything, I would not have done this like the way you did it. So more they are involved, less they will come back to you and say, you didn't do a good job.
Yeah. Yeah, no, love that transparency and just putting it out there.
Yes.
Giving them a chance to respond, or at least put their thoughts in, on the table.
And often, Whitney, they don't have the expertise to answer, but at least they got the question, they got the problem, and they can say if it's a yes or no with the question we're asking them.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I want to jump to a few other questions or final questions with our time, but I want to also ask you before we leave this topic, because it's so important, anything else you would advise the listeners to be doing as far as communication with their investors, or even how they're operating, even seeking that counsel of investors like that? I love that idea. Any other thoughts before we move on?
Every month, what we send them all of the financial paperwork to them. So they cannot say you spent something that wasn't planned. No, everything is there. And we even send them a bank statement. So every month they have the bank statement. So they cannot tell us, you took 20,000 out of the bank account. No, you got it every month. So this is one other way that I make sure that they love to be with me. They love to do projects with me.
Yeah, love that transparency as well. I just think that builds so much trust too with investors, especially over time. Right. And you're communicating like that. And so, all right, well, I want to move to a few other questions, just get your expertise too. And I ask a lot of guests these questions, but I think it's just always important in our business, a number of these things. But what about just being prepared for a downturn? When you're looking at a project right now, what are a few of the main things that's going to help you to know that, hey, when there's a downturn, this project's going to survive because of this? What is that for you?
What I'm trying to look is the ROI for the investors. If the project is on a downturn and I'm getting out of it only 1% of ROI for the investors, I won't go into the project. In 2022, I had a very nice project that was presented to me, and we knew that the interest rate will increase at the end of the year. So the income was only 1.3% for them. So I didn't go to the project. So for me, I need a good project. I need a good city. where we will invest. I need to be able to increase the rent and at least 5% ROI on their money, cash on cash. Okay. So that's the way I look on my projects.
What about any predictions that you have over the next 6 to 12 months, or maybe how those thoughts are changing, or how you're buying or selling?
Presently, I don't stop buying. I always have a project in front of the other one. And I think in Canada, the interest rate will go down in the last years, maybe end of 2023, beginning of 2024. So what I do, I don't invest with very long time with the bank. I don't freeze my interest rate very long. So that's what I'm presently looking at. Even if it's a bit expensive presently, at least I'm building equity. And in 1 year, we'll be able to refinance and get some money out, or at least decrease the interest rate.
What about your best advice for a passive investor right now?
To invest with me? No, that's not a passive investor. What they have to do, they have to make sure that they love the project. Okay. And they have to make sure that they have to check the number. If the number are great, it's amazing the type of money that we will do there. Just recalculate everything. Challenge the syndicator over there. Passive investor, they are there, but to invest with a syndicator, but they have to be able to make decision also. Not what is the color of the bathroom, but do we sell? Do we refinance? They have to be able to take decision also. But what I see from a few other projects around me is the syndicator is promising too much money, and there is a red flag that is there when you promise too much money.
For sure. What about, what are some of the most important metrics that you track? It could be personally or professionally.
When I'm with a real estate investor, is always the dividend, how much money I gave them every year, the increase of value of the building, and the third one is the increase of the tenant rent, the rent. So that's the three main one I will check.
Yeah, some good ones. What about any habits, daily habits that you have that have produced the highest return for you?
I have one, and this one is I do what is hard every morning at 5:30. What is hard for me, maybe it's not hard for you, Whitney, but I always do it at the beginning of the day. And every day, that's what I do. And I have 3 priorities every morning I write in my book. Okay. And I'm trying, maybe 95% of the time, they are done at the end of the day. Sometimes I'm not able to do one out of the 3, but that's the main 2 things. And I'm achieving a lot with those 2 ideas.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then how do you like to give back?
I love to give back, and I love when people come to me and they say, Ghislain, you give me an advice and I was able to buy a cottage, I was able to buy a flip, I was able to buy something. And when I teach, I always stay after the class, and sometimes I leave at 9-10 p.m. I want to make sure that I'm able to give the most for the people. I want them to succeed. And when they succeed, I will succeed myself too.
Yes, that's awesome. Ghislain, I'm grateful to have met you and had you on the show. I just appreciate your push for transparency, right? And even the, over communicating when there's things of concern, right? I could not agree with you more. I love the idea of the council, right? 2 or 3 investors that are, hopefully they're experienced, right? And they're providing great counsel and helping you think through even how you're communicating to all the rest of the investors, right? Or the plan moving forward. Do we stick to the plan? Do we change the plan? What is best here? And just getting other eyes, right, on that project. I think it's a great idea. Thank you so much. Tell the listeners how they can get in touch with you and learn more about you.
It's very easy. You see after my name, Ghislain Larochelle, Immofacile.ca. That's my website, and you can have it translated with Google automatic translation, Immofacile.ca, Immofacile.ca. It will be a pleasure if you want to meet with me for 30 minutes. It will be a pleasure to give you my time to better invest in passive project or to be the syndicator. Thank you very much for your time, Whitney.
Thank you for being with us again today. I hope that you have learned a lot from the show. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I hope you're telling your friends about the Real Estate Syndication Show and how they can also build wealth in real estate. You can also go to lifebridgecapital.com and start investing today.